Welcome to another installment of Area 52 powered by CFSGameTime.com. I am your host, TODD, Todd Buono. Joining us today on the show, we have an extremely talented young lady. She is joining us via phone, so please welcome to the area for the first time, Sara Mancuso.
Hey Todd, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, or calling me.
It is my pleasure. Thanks for joining us. I think this is going to be a really fun interview. I want to start. There's two different, and we've talked about this prior to this interview. There's two big things in your life that I'm going to touch on them both. But the first one that I want to start with is the skiing. And for those of you who don't know, the last name does sound familiar. Sara is indeed the younger sister of multiple-time Olympic champion Julia Mancuso. But Sara, you have chosen to dominate the world of skiing in a different genre of extreme skiing. Can you start off by telling us what is the difference opposed to what Julia does compared to what you're trying to do?
Oh man, the difference is huge. I compete on the free skiing world tour, which is pretty much a big mountain event. It's a judge sport, and they judge you on your line and technique and action. Pretty much what the competition is a difficult expert level slope that has multiple cliff drops and peppery conditions. It's got a huge risk factor. You can take whatever line you want. There's no certain line as long as you stay within the boundaries.
Let me ask you about that since you mentioned lines, because again, I'm learning a lot about the sport from you. You're kind of my introduction to the sport. I read a few different things about picking lines. Can you explain to myself and even the audience what picking a line is?
Picking a line, what I do personally is I stand at the bottom of the course and I look up the hill and I look at what's fall line, so what comes in a straight line down the hill, and also what looks difficult and what looks like something that I can ski. So your line score is built off of something, off of difficulty, the difficulty of your line. So obviously, a lot of the times, men's and women's line scores differ because the men go into more difficult places. And picking your line, you want to make it as interesting and as fun to watch as possible because it is a judge sport. It's a spectator sport.
Okay.
It's an awesome community. So you pretty much want to pick as many small features to big features as you can handle in one run that kind of flow.
Okay, now when you speak of features, does that include sort of like jumps and drops?
Yeah, drops and shoots. Sticky situations, kind of.
Okay.
Explain it.
And just if you can't give me exact, but just out of curiosity, do you know what the biggest drop you've ever taken might be?
In a competition or out of competition?
Either one. What's the more interesting one? Have you done something sick before?
My biggest drop is a 60-foot cliff.
Wow.
But in competition, probably 35 foot
Okay.
cliff.
And obviously, I would assume to do this type of skiing, and yet alone with the name, it's an extreme type of skiing. Anytime you do anything extreme, I would assume you can't be a nervous wreck. But are there any nerves when you're getting ready for this, or do you just kind of kick ass right through it?
Well, as to any event, it's a competition, and there are nerves involved. In the competition, I would never put myself into a position that would threaten my health. So the nerves as to how big I'm gonna drop, how big of a cliff I'm gonna drop, or line I'm gonna take, are not where my nerves come from.
Okay.
All the athletes are very supportive and going through the same thing, so there's a huge support system, and the nerves are pretty much nerves as to how I'm gonna perform and what the judges are gonna think of my line. If I picked a line that's actually cool, it's all perspective, you know.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You're absolutely right. Sounds like perspective, and it sounds. I mean, honestly, quite honestly, with anything that anybody does, it really can become an art form, and that's really what it sounds like. By the way you pick everything and set everything up, it really is like you're trying to create a work of art for the judges and the spectators. I know one of the other big things in your life is singing, but I have one question before we get to the singing part. I know that you are in school, and I just happened upon the nickname of the school that you attend, UC Santa Cruz. What is it like being a banana slug?
Being a banana slug is interesting. I'm transferring out of East Santa Cruz, but
Okay.
it's a good town. It's slow moving, and people here are definitely interesting to say the least. There are a lot of characters in Santa Cruz, as I mean, it definitely lives up to its reputation. It's definitely an artistic town. Definitely, there's a lot of surfers, and then there's a lot of everything in between.
Well, speaking of artistic, I definitely want to get to that now because that is kind of one of the reasons why I thought you'd be a good guest to have and come on Area 52. You are a singer-songwriter, and I have to say, after hearing one of your videos that you had up on Vimeo, I can say hands down, after seeing your Vimeo video and after seeing your sister Julia sing on George Lopez, you by far have all the singing talent. But you really are. One of the things that really jumped out at me was you have a great acoustic voice. And the video, and for those of you who want to see the video, you can go to Sarah's MySpace. Just go to MySpace and then look for Sara Mancuso. It's a great video. You're not in a studio or anything else, and your voice sounds great. Tell us a little bit. I know you've been singing since you were young. Tell us a little bit about your music and what sets it apart.
My music, I write all my songs originally. I'm actually writing right now with my boyfriend Jason Powers, who's an amazing singer and guitarist. He'll start playing something on his guitar, and whatever I feel, I start to sing. Um, Usually, our songs are catchy enough that we can get people's attention, but also what sets us apart is rocky or acoustic guitar route that we may be going.
Mm.
And alternative, I definitely bring a more jazzy vocals to the music. And obviously, anyone that's a songwriter, everyone has a different perspective on life, and my music is how I see the world through my eyes. So that's definitely different than anyone else sees the world.